This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117. Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. Anthony and Skylar will take it from here. Master Chief, out.
Hello and welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. I'm Skylar Sokol.
And I am Anthony Nicolosi.
And today it's Anthony's birthday, basically, even though it's not, because we are going to have an entire podcast, sort of, about Halo. At least our jumping off point will be Halo Infinite. The reveal, what that means for the Xbox, what that means for gaming in general, with how that reveal went, what kind of directions they can go from here, what companies should do in this situation, and how we feel about that kind of stuff. I'm going to let Anthony kick it off because, you know, if I don't let Anthony kick off a Halo podcast, I'm not sure why I'm even here.
For the listeners, if you've followed KO Koala for a while, you know that Halo is my favorite gaming franchise, and we have been in a Halo drought, us Halo fans, for 5 years. Halo 5 came out in 2015. The Halo community has been divided for a while. Halo 5 was another divisive one for the community. It was only on Xbox, did not have some series staples like split screen, had I think widely regarded as the worst campaign in Halo history, and the multiplayer was a far departure from the traditional classic Halo gameplay. It had a lot of like advanced mobility stuff in it. Some fans of it, I personally enjoyed it. Some detractors for sure. So then here comes Halo Infinite. The first thing, like for context here, going into to understand how drought we are, because what we're going to talk about is not just like what Halo fans thought and that kind of perspective. Like Skylar said, we're going to get Skylar's perspective as well. And Skylar is not a diehard Halo fan. He's just a cultured video game lover. He plays games of all kinds, and he enjoys games of all kinds. And so I think his perspective on that reveal, I already know a little bit thanks to his discussion in Discord, but you will be interesting. So we're coming into Halo Infinite. Halo fans, Halo World has only heard about Halo Infinite through fucking Mega Bloks toy leaks. I'm not even shitting you. That's how we found out about like the main bad guys and stuff. Then they released other stuff. So just to put into perspective, Halo fans are like starving for a Halo thing, right? We've had Master Chief Collection coming to PC, and that's awesome. But like for new content, it's been a while.
Would you even go as far as to say Halo fans are so desperate for new content that even if it looks like shit, they'll still love it?
Well, I think I say that so that, you know, later when we get into like, you know, or I can just say it now, my initial reaction, right, upon seeing that, you can see it on our YouTube, was just complete elation. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, oh yes, I'm so excited. The gameplay looked like a much more Halo-like than like Halo 5 was. Halo 4 went like really Call of Duty style with like loadouts and shit. So I was like really excited from that standpoint. The art style, like design, was more reminiscent of classic Halo than kind of like this generic sci-fi-y stuff that the previous modern Halos had been doing. And so I was like really excited. Like I liked the soundtrack had the themes of the old Halos, which had been gone in large part from the old ones. So get a lot of that nostalgia, you know, for sure. So I came out of that hyped as fuck, and I'm still super hyped. But if you there's a few things, right? Even as a Halo fan, and then we'll get into like what Skylar's breakdown. Those graphics, for example, right? That's the main meme. That's what everyone's kind of been talking about. Maybe in motion, the game already kind of looked like, you know, not done, not polished, like incomplete. But then when you slow it down and you go frame by frame, it looks really not done.
It didn't even look like a current generation game.
So yeah, there's a YouTube channel. I'm gonna plug him in here. His name's Cherno. I think his YouTube channel. Whoa, my swivelly's going all the way. The Cherno. I think he's a former EA game developer. It's a great YouTube channel if you're interested in development. But he has been going through like these reveal trailers of different games, and he went through Halo Infinite. And at one point, he pauses it. He looks at kind of like how they're handling the levels of detail into the distance or whatever. And he even says, he's like, this looks current gen, and that's being generous. Like, so yes, lots of graphical shortcomings. And as a Halo fan, I guess the one thing I'll say real quick is, if one point that we want to talk about that we even discussed on Instagram today with our post was, should Halo Infinite get delayed? And I think that's going to be something we talk about. If you, as a Halo fan, if you tell me that Zeta Halo, which in the world of Halo has a ton of like lore implications, a lot of cool narrative beats potentially, could be 50% better, from a graphical fidelity standpoint, and maybe immersion standpoint, would I want to wait for it? Yes.
All right. Yeah.
So,
and I mean, from my perspective, that's like a no-brainer, right? From the perspective of someone who's not super invested in the game, if it can be better, right? Like I want it, like better than that, I obviously would want it delayed from my perspective.
So give me whoever was in the Discord could see it as the showcase was going on, but as you saw it for the first time live, what were your thoughts?
I immediately thought it looked like crap. Like the graphics was I like care a lot about graphics, so like that jumped out at me so fast. I was just like, why does this look so bad? And then honestly, like the gameplay they showed looked very slow to me. It felt very slow paced. It didn't look that like exciting or actiony. Like after just coming off like finishing Doom 2016 and then seeing like that, it was like, oh, okay. And then like I saw him grapple hook, and I was like, all right, there's a grappling hook now, but it actually like looked like it retracted kind of slow. So it, like everything just felt kind of slow compared to at least like the Doom I had just played and what I've come to expect from like action first-person shooters. Then I saw the open world stuff, and I was like, yep, Anthony's been talking about this for months. I expected this, but I was like, really? The way they're gonna like reveal the game as open world is by showing you a quest where you have to like go to 2 different antennas? Like, yeah. It was just like, that's not an exciting quest to show me that your game is open world, right? Like, my decision of which antenna I go to first isn't going to matter. This is like Assassin's Creed 1 levels of open world, which is like, 15 years old at this point or something.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody in chat was as a Destiny players, but that initial point where he like comes out of the Pelican and kind of looks around, and the Banished Phantom flies over, and then there's like enemies dropped. I was telling my wife while watching it, I was like, that's like straight up right out of Destiny, right? Just to reinforce what you're saying, like I don't think it showed anything new. It felt like, oh look, it basically felt like I was watching like gameplay from Halo 3 on a new map, or like some shit like that, right? Like gameplay from a classic Halo game on a new map that maybe looked a little better than that classic Halo game. And I was explaining to Skylar, from a Halo fan perspective, it was like, yes, right, like a return to form for Halo, which is like the things you said. Halo like is a slower shooter. Like it prioritizes hitting a high volume of shots, and so the whole sandbox is kind of designed and balanced that way. Right. And they took out some of the advanced mobility mechanics in Halo 5, which definitely increased at least the illusion of speed in the game, right? So it's like, it is a slower one for sure. Another thing that surprised me a lot in the trailer too was the way they used music in the trailer. Like because for a trailer like that's like the first reveal of gameplay, you think you would pick some part that was like really cinematically driven. But like there was like no music for the beginning of that trailer. At least it was so quiet that you couldn't even hear it. And like he was basically just like shooting like guys in like a vacuum of no sound. And I mean, me, I love like when games don't put music in extraneously. But for something like this, like Xbox's flagship marketing ploy for Halo campaign gameplay, what the hell? Like, why wasn't there music going the whole time? It sounded open world. Like in a sense, like I honestly, after watching it, I was thinking, because there's one point where he goes up an elevator and then like the Halo theme comes on, like right, like overlooking the vista. That was like the best part of the trailer, probably. Well, except for all the shit that popped in the distance. That was the part where the graphics first like landed. Like something's wrong for me, because the cloud fogs were popping in and out in the background, and I was like, uh-oh. That's not good. I don't think also, if I'm honest, like I don't think that was a great first look for the slip space engine. That was touted.
We're being you can't like come out and say you built a custom engine for your game that's like this thing when engines like Unreal 5 exist, right? And then like come out with this as your like. It just blows my mind that they had let this happen at all.
Yeah. Lynx actually asked in chat to finish that thought. I was just saying, how can something sound open world? What I mean is that, like, if you're in a linear cinematic experience, narrative, like linear campaign experience, like Halo's traditionally have done, you have some control over the set pieces that the players.
It wasn't like a set piece. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more dynamic in the open world, and so it's harder to play music that's appropriate for the context. Like, there's a little more intelligence.
You play music when you go up the elevator in the set piece part, but you don't play it in the like random combat section. Although a lot of open world games have music when you go into combat, so
they do. And there was that part after the elevator. That was what I was going to say. There, the music like it was like kind of like bumping in the back, like that seemed like that could have been real. I don't know. Like if you play the real game, unless that's like the first time you ever go up an elevator in the game, overlook the vista. I don't think so, because they said it's like several hours in the game. I bet you that Halo theme doesn't come on during that elevator.
No, probably not. Well, it's crazy. They pick like if they have enough content in that game, which they should at this point since it's coming out in like 6 months or whatever, less than 6 months, 4 months. For a game that's coming out in 4 months, you think they would have enough missions to pick something more exciting than that? Like they really thought that was the thing that showcased the campaign gameplay best of everything in the game without probably spoiling like the narrative. I'm sure they wanted to avoid doing that, but still.
Oh yeah, just a touch. From a Halo fan's perspective, that was another thing that is exciting, is that the narrative seems like on point and it's something interesting.
Right.
You want to look into see. But anyway, I think that if you're listening to us, you're seeing that we definitely came out of there like underwhelmed, to say the least. Like
right.
So anyway, after the aftermath, right? People begin to speculate. Okay, there were some rumors that this was a really old build.
Right.
COVID is a thing. Microsoft and 343 transitioned to being completely at home starting in February, and they had a bunch of blog posts, previously, even before this event, talking about the reality of switching, how it's taken them. Like, there's some things like we're professional software engineers. Software development is something that I think is easier to do remote than, let's say, working on art together with the art team kind of a thing. There you maybe like the benefit you get of a singular spot and like the benefits that a studio could provide, whether it's just lighting and materials and all that stuff, is just, or like I'm thinking the sound recording guys, like in Halo 5, they had these Vidocs and the guy had this like crazy, like, I don't even know what the fuck you call it. Just like synth and wave manipulation machine where he'd make all the crazy for it. You can't have that shit at your house.
Not
like
necessarily. It'd be very hard.
So but
still, like we heard, like they did come out and say like this is a 3-month-old build, right? Like that has been confirmed that the build was 3 months old, right?
Well, so I want to say last week they had a development update that they actually were pretty candid in responding to just a lot of takes that they were seeing out of the community. The graphics was the first thing they addressed, and they said that build is only a few weeks old.
What?
So
oh no,
this is why I put that Instagram post out, like especially in light of that news, like. A lot of polish, I mean, at least for Halo games historically, because there's Vidocs that demonstrate it, there's a ton of polish and ton of tightening up and closing out of bugs that happens close to ship. Like when you're wrapping things up, game systems have landed, design systems have landed, so now just like polishing it up and making it all look good. And if I just was telling somebody on Instagram today, we have never seen a Halo game. So if a Halo game comes out in the holidays, the pre-E3 demonstration of it has never looked this shaky.
Right.
Right.
It's not like this is a new phenomenon where we're seeing Halo gameplay at like the E3 timeline before the game coming out in holiday, right?
Right.
This was like
Yeah.
this has happened before multiple times, and it's never been like this, right?
Yeah, no, it has never been like this. And like I said, knowing that they've been impacted by COVID and this kind of stuff usually gets polished late. This is where the question comes in. Should they delay this game? What do you think, Skylar? Should they delay Halo Infinite?
Okay, so my opinion on delays in general is they should happen as early as possible, right? Then that's hard because you don't know what you're going to get done in the time before the game's released, right? But for a company as experienced as 343, I would hope that they have some idea of what they can accomplish in the next 3 months or whatever, right? So you would think that they know how much they can go from that few-week-old build to what they'll have in a few months. And if that can get to a point where where Halo looks next-gen, then great, then do it. But honestly, I worry a lot about the fact that the game is coming out on Xbox One, limiting it from ever looking that next gen.
Yeah,
right?
Sure,
Like, I don't know, maybe the cap, like the max, even though the cap they could get to is way better than this, it will never look next gen because it's just not capable because it has to run on current gen, right? And to make a game that can look next gen and current gen at the same time is hard. That's not trivial at all, right?
Well, we know they said after the showcase that it was not going to ship with ray tracing.
Right, which is crazy. Is this Minecraft?
Well, yeah, and it's a single like hardware thing for the Series X. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wonder if like Halo Infinite, they said is going to be like a 10-year service kind of a game. So eventually, I'm sure we'll kind of forget about this, but I wonder if the launch of Halo Infinite will come down to like sort of doomed by the two sides of the console. On one side, you have to support the old legacy consoles. On the other side, you have to ship because you're the launch game for Series X.
And the question is, do they even fucking care? Because all they care about is people buying Game Pass, right? Maybe. So maybe they don't even care. Maybe they're just like, we gave the Halo community what they wanted because we made a Halo game again, not like Halo 5 or whatever, like you were saying. And we made a good narrative. And if the graphics are bad, then whatever, because the Halo community is going to buy it. They'll be happy, whatever, right? And we'll improve it later, which is like crazy because talk about alienating any new fans of the series.
Well, and it just sucks because, like, let's say later ray tracing comes down, right, and everything looks great. And you only play the campaign for the first time once,
right?
So
totally,
I'll play the campaign. It comes out. I'll like swallow the shitty graphics. Then like 2 months later, they have ray tracing. It's phenomenal.
Or like 2 years later,
it's not the same, to go and do that. So that's one thing. Now the other thing that's interesting is that this is just this was just campaign. They did not show multiplayer, and it's rumored that it's coming. So they've confirmed since there that Halo multiplayer is coming out. It's going to be free to play.
Did the free to play get confirmed?
Got confirmed. Okay. Halo itself tweeted it out. Halo's for everyone. It's free to play.
Okay.
It's also going to have 120 FPS support on the Series X. So one thing we know about that campaign is that it's going to be 4K 60 frames per second on the Series X. It's open world and there's 2-player split screen. So, there's definitely some limitations there. So I also wonder if it's like, hey, the campaign is more for the Halo enthusiasts, let's say. The multiplayer is, by far the thing that most people are going to be playing when you play Halo, regardless if you get it with the campaign or not. That's maybe going to look spanking because it's going to be...
That's bullshit, right? Like, the limitations of online multiplayer from a graphical perspective are way more limited than a single-player campaign. Like, if you can't make your single-player campaign look good, there's no way your engine can make multiplayer look good.
So here's why I think that in this case, might not be true, because Digital Foundry did a breakdown of the lighting and found that the dynamic lighting techniques used in the campaign were mostly to blame for Halo's like Infinite's flat look. Textures and materials definitely too, like in there, but by and large, it was the dynamic lighting system that had a lot of impact on it. And they thought that ray tracing would actually probably go a long way in making it look better because of the PBR textures, all the shit.
Right, but if the campaign's not shipping with ray tracing, you really think the multiplayer is shipping with ray tracing?
won't ship with ray tracing, but it doesn't need to ship with dynamic lighting, because the reason why the campaign is shipping with dynamic lighting is to support like day and night cycles, dynamic like environments like geometry, whatever like that. Multiplayer, like a 4v4 arena map, doesn't have any of that shit, you know.
But
like
you
can
don't
go
think
back to,
they
like,
would
what Halo
try and
5
like
did.
have that shit though, because they can? Like
Well,
their
think about
engine
it.
supports it, right? Don't you want these like sprawling multiplayer areas,
Maybe for like if they have
like a
evolution of
Battlefield
their-
style control point
yeah,
mode?
maybe if they had something like that, but the competitive Halo scene and like the part that carries a lot of the population, especially like if you're going to get into like what streamers will probably stream stuff, is likely to be either a battle royale if it ships with it, and then two, the 4v4 style gameplay.
Uh-huh.
And the 4v4 is not, large maps. Those
Right.
are quite frankly usually pretty small maps. You can do something along like the lines of the previous Halos. You got your static lighting, and there's maybe some dynamic objects in there, but generally it's less expensive to render. Maybe there's, like you said, the demands of low, highly performant online gaming is there, but yeah, you don't need to dynamically light every frame.
Yeah.
From that perspective.
No,
so,
that's fair.
I don't know.
My question though is, it's very interesting that they would have free to play. Like we just talked about how Microsoft is obsessed with getting people to buy Game Pass, and then like literally the thing that would encourage the most people to buy Game Pass, which would be Halo multiplayer, is free to play, is not even going to be part of Game Pass. Unless, I can almost guarantee you that Game Pass will give you some benefits in Halo multiplayer. Like, for sure, right? There's going to be, like, you get the free battle pass, or you get the free cosmetics or some shit.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Right? Like, for sure that will happen. I can't imagine it wouldn't. That would be, like, such a wasted opportunity for them to encourage people to buy Game Pass. But it's surprising that they're making it free to play. Like, that scares me, honestly. It makes me worried about the quality of the multiplayer if it's going to be free to play.
Really? From what perspective? I feel like it's a play at a large market share,
Well,
for
no, and
Halo.
I agree, but at the same time, right, like, maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't need and maybe they think cosmetics will drive the market enough that they can make the money back like Fortnite did. But I don't know. Like, Halo
Well,
multiplayer is not on the same level as Fortnite, right? Halo
It's
is
not
relatively
right now.
niche, like, because it was Xbox exclusive for so long. It's not like
Yep.
something that like is cross-platform on every platform. This is a
Well,
console exclusive, right?
I think this is how you find out if there's a market still for arena first-person shooter gameplay. Like, Halo is the biggest arena shooter still alive, right?
Yeah.
Like, arena shooters have like disappeared. There's this. What's that one game that Cliffy B made that just like died
Lawbreakers?
immediately? Lawbreakers. Arena shooters aren't around. So the best play for an arena shooter for Halo to like succeed is going to be like go free to play. Now, I will tell you that when Halo 5 came out, which was a $60 game, they didn't share. I don't know if who has like legit numbers beyond maybe like the first week, but 343 on multiple occasions said they were astounded by the amount they made through the microtransaction rec store.
Right. And this was like
So-
in the times before Fortnite was fucking killing it, right? So
Yeah.
that's
So my
true.
guess is like to your point of like, are they confident that they can recoup it,
Probably.
via that strategy? My guess is that their Halo 5 experience alone makes them think yes, and then seeing the success of some of the other ones. I mean, Halo can go, in my opinion, a pretty long way on like creating interesting cosmetics.
Sure.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
it'll be really interesting. Free-to-play multiplayer from Halo is a strange thing for me. But, like, even Call of Duty, right, only the Battle Royale was free. And maybe they're playing it'll be free, but really not all the modes are free. Who knows? Maybe you need Game Pass for, like, some of the stuff, and then, like, the Battle Royale will be free, and maybe, like, some basic deathmatch modes will be free. Who knows, right?
Yeah. From my perspective, free-to-play games, there's more pressure on free-to-play games to be good than there are paid games, in my
Absolutely, right? Because there's no initial investment. If your game sucks, people don't have to buy your cosmetics.
Yes, I agree. And they actually, Jerry Hook, I think he's like the lead design director or something like that on 343. I shouted him out in the YouTube video. He even went out to say in this podcast he went on like how free-to-play games have got to basically you want to prove yourself to your player. You want to convince them, let them play you for free, and damn, this pre-show is in depth. And convince them that you are worth their investment into your ecosystem and into playing your game, into buying cosmetics, whatever, etc. So, if anything, I think I'm actually excited about the fact that Halo Infinite, okay, hold on, I'm excited about that. If the 4v4 is going to be free to play, I'm very excited. In my opinion, that means that they think they're really confident about the 4v4, which is what I mean.
That's where the esport is, right? In your opinion, and in the Halo community's opinion, that's where the esport is.
Now there was, again, I don't know how the fuck this gets leaked on toy places, but there was some Japanese toy website that listed the game under the genre of battle royale. So we will see if it has a battle royale. Me being a Halo fan and not really liking battle royales, we'll see if they somehow do a cool spin.
I would be interested to see, I was trying to Google it right now and I couldn't find it. I was trying to look at the stats on Hyperscape, Ubisoft's new battle royale, because that's the closest to an arena shooter-esque battle royale that's ever come out. And honestly, I think that game died almost immediately.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I think I remember seeing that. In fact, Ubisoft reached out to some prominent Halo YouTubers to do some coverage on it and send them some swag bags, which is, in my opinion, a realization on their part that there's some overlap of the market right there. The Halo guys might be interested in this. We'll see. I don't know.
Gonna be interesting. I think if the reality though, what if the game launches with only a battle royale? Do you think it's possible that could happen?
Is it possible? Yes. I mean, here's the thing too. Okay, I think in a lot of ways, Halo Infinite is Halo's last, or at least it's going to be very hard without another huge, significant, decades worth of no Halo for Halo to ever claim relevancy in the grand gaming world sphere again.
Because it's already lost a ton of relevancy, right, with Halo 5.
Well, 4 and 5, really.
Right.
I mean, I would even say Reach, when Bungie was still there, it started going a different direction. Also, other great games started showing up, especially in the shooter
That's
genre.
true. I mean, I barely have, until I met you, I had barely even thought about Halo since, Halo 3, right?
Yep. Yeah, so it's done a lot. They've had a lot of, soul-searching going on at 343. I feel like they've gotten the feedback and I'm excited. They had basically on Halo 4 a great campaign and great story, Halo 5 a great multiplayer. Hopefully they can figure out both of them at the same time. I think final verdict from us is at least for the campaign, the part that we saw looks like it should get delayed.
If that was the best they had, then
3 weeks, several weeks old only, right?
Right. And you assume if they're showing you gameplay, it's the best they have, right? The best they have that's not spoiling the entire story, right? But there should be good sections of that, you would hope, in any game. And if the best they have is a quest where you go to 2 antennas, come on, man. That's my open world experience.
So I was saying that's its last chance at relevancy, but I think for even the Halo fans, if 343, to say it crudely, fucks it up again to them, a lot of people are okay, that's it, you know,
we're done with Halo.
How many fucking times do we have to get hyped and then crushed, you know? The Master Chief Collection's awesome. I think they should really be applauded for the effort they've done on that, and it's phenomenal on PC. Halo 3 on PC is so much better than it ever was on Xbox.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing going for them on making us confident that the game will be good, right? That they did such a good job with the PC stuff, at least after honestly, the initial horribleness that happened.
Yeah, well, when they announced MCC for PC, I was like, uh-oh. I hope this doesn't mean they are expecting older traditional fans to not like Infinite, so they want to have the classic.
They need the backup.
Anyway, I know that all of my immediate friends, a lot of people who are in the Discord server who saw it, are all extremely hyped from even that Xbox 360 looking thing.
Yep.
And I mean, props to, I think, 343 and Xbox. Phil Spencer said Craig, that brute that got punched, that's a meme everywhere, is the new Xbox mascot. So they're embracing the meme. Good for them.
But here's the question: how do you ever delay a game that is a launch title for your new console?
So I'll tell you this: Phil Spencer went on a podcast a couple months ago, and this is when COVID was first started happening. So they asked him, "Is Halo going to get delayed?" And he said, "Right now they're doing a good job." Like, he didn't say yes or no, basically, on it. We'll see, is what he said. Then they said, "Okay, well, so will you delay the Xbox if Halo gets delayed?" And he said, "We won't delay the hardware for any game."
So what other launch titles that the console even have? Like, do we even know about any original IP launch titles for that game at that console besides Halo Infinite?
So I'll say that we said this a little bit last time, but the Series X launch lineup is not sexy, especially considering that's what Infinite looked like.
Right. Halo Infinite was the launch lineup, and now it barely has that.
The sexiest things about it were these things that looked like they're coming a couple of years from now.
Right.
And that's cool. That's cool, but it's just, again, if you're thinking, like we said before, if you're just pushing Game Pass, then having a new Halo experience for the Halo people who come maybe to expect that out of your platform is all you're looking for the campaign.
Right.
And, okay, that's it, and that the ray tracing is going to be great. I don't know, man. I wish I had the discipline to come off the internet and somehow avoid all Halo until the ray tracing patch came out.
Yeah, that's what I would say. If they say on launch they announce the release date of the better graphics improvement, they say 2 months out, give you the date. Would you wait?
I want to so bad wait.
But there's no way you would wait. There's no way.
I don't know how I would avoid it.
How would you avoid spoilers too? It would be impossible, right? You would be to experience it like you want to. You have to do it when it comes out.
It's like back in the day watching Dragon Ball Z. There's no way to not get the fucking Japanese spoilers, man. You always knew what the fuck was happening because you did some manga shit. Anyway,
all right.
Yeah,
well,
I don't know if I can do it. Fingers crossed, Halo fam, that the multiplayer reveal is phenomenal and somehow is amazing, and hopefully, they did say in the dev blog, I will say for the Halo people who listen to this, if you haven't heard already, there may be hope. They said that a lot of the things in the demo that people had issue with, they already knew about, but there were some things that came up and just out of the discourse, out of the community, that has them maybe reprioritizing things. So maybe, ray tracing is one of them. And I'll tell you, I'm not getting a Series X anymore unless that, or you tell me that 120 frames per second, that's nice. That's nice.
But it's going to be 120 frames per second on PC, so why,
Yeah, but that's for me. I have PC, but my wife,
sure,
she's going to be playing.
Sure.
And I now have a new house. I need one more Xbox for this room.
Yeah, but it's true, right? If Halo isn't there, what motivation do people even have to buy the Series X? Who knows?
Dude, if it wasn't for that 120 frames per second Halo announcement, I'm
yeah, and I probably at this point need to see the proof of that. But if you're running a game that looks like Halo 2 at 120 frames per second, then great, good job. That's not a good reason to buy your console.
Yeah, we should have a totally. We'll see if chat and what they think. We should have another discussion. I feel like this whole pushing resolution as a cool thing and not pushing frames and newer lighting techniques is a mistake.
I think pushing resolution and pushing frame rate, after you go over 60 FPS, I think pushing frame rate is meaningless.
Really?
The human eye is almost incapable of seeing frame rate differences over 60 FPS and is incapable of seeing frame rate differences over 144 or something like that, 120.
Yeah.
Also,
really,
how many TVs support 120 FPS?
I mean, the newer ones do, but it's a valid point. The legacy ones, they have this bullshit Samsung's got 120 smart display, but it's fucking 60.
Right.
It's
right.
You know what I mean? Anyway, that's maybe another thing. We'll talk about.
Evico in the chat saying that to pro gamers, higher FPS matters, but you have to remember that tick rate matters just as much as FPS for multiplayer games. Because the server tick rate is actually the theoretical maximum at which your actions matter. So even if your FPS is 5 billion, if the tick rate's 60, then you're basically playing at 60 FPS.
Well, we'll hope that brand spanking new Azure backbone helps out there, and they get that.
Yeah, if any games ever have LAN ever again, Evan, then that will matter.
Halo Infinite actually will have LAN because the whole Halo community freaked the fuck out that they didn't have LAN in Halo 5.
Really? That'll be interesting to see how that
You
works.
had to dude, you had to connect to a Windows PC, which was has some bullshit networking option set up to get pseudo LAN.
That's funny.
You know, in Halo 5. So yes,
All
they
right.
are.
Well,
We'll
Anthony,
see.
where can people find us?
You can find us at koalaentertainment.com. There you have links to all of our social media at koala_ENT for that. For Instagram and Twitter. You get here on Twitch too. So if you are listening, we stream these podcasts live every Monday, mostly every Monday, on Twitch at that handle.
8:30 EST.
8:30 EST. You can also find us. You get our links. Looks like TikTok's not going to be banned. Microsoft and Phil Spencer coming in buying them.
Microsoft and Phil Spencer talking to Mike Pence, I read, about buying TikTok. What is the most boomer shit I've ever heard?
I don't know. Yeah, what how are you going to convince those guys? Look, China doesn't have the data. Anyway, I can't wait for the new first-class Halo integrations into TikTok. Expect those out of us, and you can find a link to our TikTok also on our website, koalaentertainment.com. Also, please consider supporting our studio with some awesome merch. I am wearing my.
Oh, I have my. We can't see.
hat.
We can't. Oh, your hat. Okay, I was like, we can't see your shirt. Yeah, we see your hat. Nice.
Flat bill hat.
I got my summer shirt. I haven't worn it yet, but I'll wear it soon.
Skylar is lagging. Yes, the summer stuff. Okay, and there's actually some new summer logo related hotness coming in this store this week. So be ready for that.
Oh shit!
Some new merch. So you can check out the merch store from our website. Yep, big old merch link. I don't know what else. YouTube. Check us out.
Yep.
All the links there on KO.
Check us out. I'm wearing a BioShock shirt. Actually, you would know that if you had played it.
Oh, also, especially if you are a Halo fan listening to this right now, Twitter and YouTube especially, and Instagram, but mostly Twitter and YouTube, we have a lot of Halo stuff being said. So follow us on there and check us out. And giveaways, man, giveaways everywhere. Follow us, go join our Discord where we have amazing giveaways, amazing community, and great time.
Agora.
Yes. And Agora. You guys, I'm so excited. You should see the shit we're making. It's fun.
It's true.
It's really fun.
Yep.
I'm excited.
You'll play it soon, hopefully. Soon TM.
Soon TM, yeah. Probably not sooner than Halo Infinite's ray tracing update, though.
I don't know. We should take some bets on how long after the release the ray tracing will come out. Maybe we'll do that in Discord. We'll have a Discord giveaway for whoever guesses closest to how long after Halo Infinite's release the ray tracing comes out.
Yeah. Wait, shit. I want one last thing.
Okay.
One last thing on this topic. We are developers, okay? We know how valuable good work-life balance can be, right? And how shitty it is when you are in a situation where you are demanded to crunch.
Mm-hmm.
So Halo Infinite's in a state, in maybe large part, maybe we don't know, maybe it's their fault, but maybe in large part it's due to the COVID implications in a rough state. You know, there's this discussion, I've seen some people on Twitter say, and I totally disagree, we'll just, pump it out, crunch that shit up, get out the door. This is something the video game industry has been notorious for, the crazy crunch. Dude, on Halo 2, the stories, people got divorced. This one guy couldn't get out of his car when he got home. He had to get rushed to the hospital from I don't know how he was seized up and shit.
Ooh.
People, sleeping at the studio all the time. And lots of other studios have had that. Bungie was that back then, but lots of studios have had similar horror stories. And the other reason why I think Halo Infinite should get delayed is because don't crunch to get ray tracing.
No crunch. Yeah, no crunch for ray tracing. I agree. No crunch for even making the game look better. Please, just don't crunch. Let the developers have lives. It doesn't matter. Microsoft, you literally make Windows. You'll be okay.
Yes. And I mean, this will be interesting. I feel like in a lot of ways, this will be a test of Microsoft. Yeah, put your money where your mouth is kind of a thing, because they've been talking about how, and maybe they're just okay with shipping a kind of mediocre entry level thing, but this might be a scenario where they have to really prove that, we're going to delay the game. We're going to do whatever.
It'll be interesting to see.
Though.
All right.
Maybe they're Wizards, though. Maybe in 3 months, we'll all be talking about, fuck, that looks good. We'll see.
Yeah. I will say no game has ever looked better than its E3 reveal.
Really? You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I actually would say that barring Halo 2, Halo 2 is infamous for having, this graphical engine that only existed through the E3 demo, and then they got back and they're like, fuck, we can't make a game with this engine. I think all the Halos have looked better than their E3 reveal.
Well, good for Halo then. Most other games not the case. Anyway, goodbye.
See ya!
Love you all.